not a requirement by the state statute.
Right, and you also don't have a requirement to have times where each of you will answer phone calls when residents call.
I do answer phone calls. I can't speak for anybody else.
Right.
Mhm.
The next question that I have is regarding your refusal to address FOIA requests from multiple residents in a timely manner, and also from my attorney, specifically regarding the special assessment that was requested from you, that you personally have stated at the last meeting that you have information for, and yet you have not answered that to my attorney or to me.
I'm
That's
sorry,
one
your
thing.
attorney sent something that was
Excuse me,
responded to.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You have publicly answered that to the last board meeting that you have those records, yet you have not disclosed them. The other thing is, there was a recording by the deputy treasurer that was done at the last meeting that was requested. It was done on her cell phone, which I believe she's recording again today. That FOIA was refused as well.
Correct, that one was because she is not acting on behalf of the board.
Doesn't matter, she's an elected official over here.
Yeah.
Appointed official.
I asked the
she's doing
attorney,
the office
it doesn't
of
matter,
the-
Yasmin, she is not acting in her official capacity right
We
now.
will have an appeal regarding that. The last thing that I have, any of the residents that are here, I will stay after the meeting, please speak with me about the recall that will be coming later on. I would love to speak with you. Thank you, my name is Yasmin Appel, by the way.
Anybody else? Wanda?
This afternoon, I had sent each of you an email. I was just wondering if you had gotten it and if you read it. Can
I did.
ask each person, you did? Or-
Not after, it must
You
come
don't
after
have
I
to
was
answer, I
done.
was just wondering if you had gotten it and
No.
if you read it.
I can't say whether I did or not because
Well-
not before I was on.
Bill,
No, I haven't checked mail since possible fun.
Carla,
I haven't gotten it.
it should be an email, you should have gotten it.
Just read it.
Lawrence, I'm sorry,
I just read it.
okay.
I didn't check my email after like 4 today. So since you said it, I have my email pulled up so I can refer back during
It
the
does
meetings and stuff.
pertain to something that will be brought up, so if you please kind of consider, or maybe one of you could read it at that time. Lawrence, can I get you to do that?
Yeah, I can try to remember it.
For the rest of the board members to have.
If you want, it's only a paragraph I can read right now. You're okay with that?
Then she did bring her phone on the agenda.
Perfect.
Mary?
I noticed, I asked for a copy of the expense report, and I noticed that you said there was a financial problem, not problem, but we needed to save money and stuff like that. And so the planning commission went from $80 a meeting down to $50 a meeting. I see that, I just wonder if board members are making any sacrifices, because I see Bill gets paid by Water District Number 1, and he's double dipping, because he's being paid time for what he's doing to them. For him to charge mileage from his house to Jerome Hall is double dipping, and not only that, it is not legal taxably.
And he never drives to an office here.
Yeah, he doesn't drive to an office, Dow didn't pay me to go to work.
Y'all have offices. You
Yep.
have an office, he has an office.
But I think that's being kind of greedy myself, and it's not unexpected. I expect that, but if other people are gonna work and he gets paid more than I do for driving around on mileage, going to the bank every other day, I don't know that any of you question him. You don't.
Yeah.
And that's what hurts in terms of you blow us off, but you don't question your own members.
So when he's got the bank deposits to match that he went to the bank, we shouldn't pay him to drive to the bank regardless if he was.
Why can't he time, is it essential that he go every other day?
Well, when there's tax payments and.
Oh, I understand
money,
that.
Then it needs to go in there.
I understand.
I mean, do we want our checks sitting out there for?
No, I don't, but when someone's driving a Prius, I can't believe that it costs 58 cents a mile to pay for the gas.
Wow.
That's what the state.
No, I know that's what the tax law is. I understand that. I just think it's pretty greedy.
Anything else?
Quick question. In my stupidity here, but is not his yearly wage include running to the bank? Is part of his job?
No, mileage is extra for each of us if we're appointed or need to go to, say I have to run to Staples to pick up the paper or something, then we get paid mileage to go do that.
But a lot of you don't claim mileage out of the kindness of your heart. I'm just saying that not all of you are the same. When only one person claims mileage, that's a red flag right there.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
Sorry. Inventory. Does the township do inventory now? Because years ago they didn't.
We need to do an inventory of everything.
Mm-hmm. So we don't yet?
Nope. All right. Guest speakers. Ken and is Steve here tonight? I don't see him. Michelle.
Yes, at the last meeting, I had to leave so someone else asked my question. But in the water money that you transferred to the fire fund, and the waste money that you transferred to the fire fund, how are you able to do that when it's tax assessed money for a particular fund?
So Michelle, that was explained at the last meeting. So the CDs. Deb Ryber asked your question.
That is correct.
Yeah. So what it is there's CDs. And if an account has money on hand and another account has money in a CD but needs money on hand, it buys that CD from the other account. And the paper trail is documented in the general ledger.
No, that's fine.
So it's returned
If
to
it
the
were,
proper
but
fund.
it's not.
It's traded, it's bought.
Where is that in fund accounting 101? I mean, seriously, I took fund accounting. I guess it's creative.
So if
All
you-
I have to say is it's very creative.
So if you cash out a CD early, you lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of cashing out a CD, if the fire department needs money and the water has money on hand,
Right.
then the water will give the money to fire and buy the CD that's marked fire, that's then assigned to water. So the CD isn't cashed out, it's reassigned to the water, when the water gives the actual cash to the fire to use it. So that the CD is not cashed out, but it doesn't
it's
belong to
got
fire
centered.
anymore, it belongs
It's
to
got
water,
centered.
and doesn't
Oh, you
lose
do?
the interest.
Well, I'd like to see the paper trail on that since it was $350-something thousand.
And Laura can probably print that out for you on the general ledger because that's where she tracks it. All right.
Just one last question. On the, you mentioned the inventory, we're not doing it now. Do you have a target date when we will begin?
I would like it to start now. I know Daryl has been working on, we went through and there's no foam machine. Stuff like that. The hall caretaker was going to be working on the inventory here. The plans have changed.
Understood. So the point is that, yes, it's actually been initiated already then?
Yes.
So,
Al?
Yes, you said the money was transferred to the fire department, they bought it. And then the water assessment went up $40 per year.
So the are you talking about the LUs?
Pardon?
Are you talking about the LUs that went up $10?
Yes.
Okay, so the LUs are the local unit fees, and the local unit fees are what we collect to maintain our loan. So if we leave the local unit fees at $55, within 10 years, we are gonna default on our loans. So we have to raise the local unit fee in order to stay on track of where we are at. So that is why that increased this year.
But we was told when we signed up for water that as, yeah,
No.
yeah, that's,
We didn't put money into the fire from water and not do anything.
You solidified the water funds into a CD so that you could have cash flow into the fire. But what we need is to have the fluid money of the water in the water area to pay off the loan amount so that we're not paying an extra amount of money. And sorry that fire doesn't have any liquid cash on hand and everything is put into the CDs, but you can't put the liquid fund into a CDs of the water to save the fire and then have the residents pay the excess amount because you're gonna default on your loan.
So
It
do you,
doesn't work that way.
so you have to look at the amortization schedule.
I understand that, but now but you're in a CD that you can't cash out,
You
so
can.
you don't have the funds in your water anymore to pay the loan off. That's what you're saying.
The loan isn't going to be paid off anytime soon. It's got, what, 40 years left on it?
But didn't you just say we're gonna give all the
We
loan?
pay 40% plus of the water stuff in our budget. Maybe we should ask Mike Glenn about it.
Yeah, he seems to know everything.
Yeah.
All right, any other
The
questions?
treasurer doesn't speak.
Comment.
Yeah.
There's one board member is here that answers questions apparently. Because Christy might be a treasurer as well, so he doesn't need to.
I have one last one. We all know I am.
Who are you, by the way?
Sharon Fritzen. I'm very much for the dump. But regardless, if it's what the majority votes, if they want land, be picked up, I'm cool with that too, if that's what the majority wants. I just have a really big problem and concern with Republic. More and more I'm hearing that every county and township are firing them. Buttman just fired them. We are costing more money now, in excess of $24,000 in addition of what we got, to pay for a company that is being fired left and right and are not doing their job. Personally, it's a hit or miss. I'm here on Olson between 7 and 8, and it's a hit or miss whether or not they pick it up. And it's a hit or miss whether or not half the trash actually makes the dump, or if it's on the end of my property. And it's, you call them, and I'm not sure what this is, but I called to complain, and I was actually told by them that I had to speak to you personally because they are hired by the township, and they are not my provider. And that the township board has to. I called them about 2 weeks ago, and that's what they told me. I forget the person's name, but they just said, we cannot answer your question. We are hired by the township, you are not hired by you. And I had to get a hold of my township.
All right, well, let's do this. If you've got a problem again, shoot out an email to the board at leetownship.org, and we will shoot it off to Republic and get it taken care of.
So what is the chance of getting rid of Republic? If the community doesn't want Republic to be our door-to-door.
We want our dump back.
Why can't we get another person to come pick up our trash? There are other companies. Can we not look at them and fire them? If why would we
You
still
have to have just cause.
But why?
We could issue
Because you got lots
petition
of
that
people
we
are
have.
unhappy.
We
You
could
got
even get
counties
them
that are
to-
unhappy that can support you. They're all firing them. I don't understand. Midland fired them.
Midland didn't fire them. Their contract was up with Republic, and they chose to go with GFL.
That's firing them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Now they're doing this contract, that is firing them.
Yeah.
No,
Midland is firing
it's not
them.
firing them.
Well, if they were happy with their service, they would have kept them on.
Not necessarily.
I'm sorry, but when I have somebody.
If you can get something for cheaper, why wouldn't you save some money?
Then why didn't we go with GFL?
At the time, GFL was not available while I was looking into them. They did not start curbside until after March.
Oh, that's not what we, yeah.
Why can't we, if they're not doing their job and everyone else is kind of dumping on the system, that's my concern. I'm reading more and more of different counties.
Because
that
we're
are-
Lee Township, we're not Jerome, we're not Buttman, we're not any of those. We are
So
Lee
we're
Township. So just because
We're
everybody
lesser. We're
that you're
smaller,
telling
we're
me
lesser.
is going off, then we are supposed to jump on board. I've talked with the Jerome Township supervisor. They're not going to get rid of Republic. They're going to wait this out. This is a nationwide shortage.
Not
If
from what I
everybody
read.
jumps to GFL, the only other provider here in this area for curbside, you don't think they're gonna have a driver shortage? There would be the
Republic
problems
does.
everywhere.
I had four lawn chairs the other 2 weeks ago. I had to break them up to put them out there in my container. So then I was only able to get one garbage bag of my personal garbage in there because they're not going to pick up lawn chairs sitting next to your bin.
Why? Who told you that?
Well, I got a mattress right across the road, just down the road, and it's been laying there for how many days?
Did
Weeks?
somebody call it in? Did you go ask your your neighbors if they called Republic? to
Why do you have to call them in if it's sitting there?
Because they don't have the same truck.
the residents
Yeah.
for everything.
They don't
Yeah.
have a truck that doesn't, they send out a separate truck for that. That's why the instructions that came with Republic said, there's heavy pickup once a week, you just need to call 24 hours in advance.
And
to let them
she
know.
just said that when you do call, you have to talk to you, not her,
Well, let's see
them.
what happens when you call. All right, any other questions, concerns? Can we move on? Mr. Glenn?
Hey, Mike Glenn, 1840 West Ocean Road. I would like to commend the board.
How much money did you lose?
What the heck are you talking to me for? I didn't say anything.
I didn't say who interrupted me. I didn't, did I interrupt you? Anyway, I think you're doing a good job.
It's no big.
Did I interrupt you?
You're interrupting everybody. Mr. Yannick.
I have the right to make a public comment. Start over. You guys are doing a fantastic job.
What are
I
they
know
doing?
people are putting obstacles in your way, even the 25 or so that are here. No matter what you do, you're gonna pick it apart. And as far as Republic, I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah, right.
I see on Facebook where they're having trouble with Flint. Well, that's too bad. I don't live in Flint. I live here. They're doing a great job. They're having trouble in Flint.
Yeah.
I don't live in Flint.
How close to the road do you live, Mike?
So, in other words, whatever you do,
I know, real close.
keep doing it.
Mhm.
These people are gonna pick it apart. Keep doing what you're doing.
Jeez.
And don't resign.
You notice he's not supervisor anymore.
Right, because I can't wait to the next election.
Look at all
There
them.
we go.
Can we-
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, how are you?
Well, that's yet to be seen. I'm gonna move my chair over here.
Is that your magic box?
Yeah, it's my magic box. Unfortunately, there's no door here, so. No, I'm good. My problem is I do have a little bit, I was at a reunion over the weekend. And after your grandpa, towards the end of the week, you start seeing all the pictures of all the kids and all the big grandma and all the nieces with their grandma. And here tonight, it looks like I'm going to be on enough film that I'll kind of average out. So, thank you for taking that picture. We're going to go over insurance, that fun-filled topic. I do apologize for sitting down. My problem is that I have what's known as benign familial tremors, which means if I hold anything for more than 30 seconds, it starts shaking. So, since you don't have a lectern, I'm going to create my own lectern here and kind of go through things. I want to talk about the last few visits that I've had. The most recent was back to the fire department. There were several things that I was asked to review.
Did you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, hi there, I didn't do that, did I?
No.
Oh, well, I knew who I was, but my name is Ken Lind, L-I-N-D,
Yeah, and who are you?
and I am your insurance agent.
Which company?
Lind & Lind Insurance Agent is my agency. For many of you, you might know that name for a number of years. We were on Eastern Levels. We have had our offices in Midland and Beaverton and Gladwin and Caro and Auburn and so forth. Unfortunately, I did not realize that people retired. And so over the years, a lot of my managers started to retire. And so currently, we just resigned back to our Gladwin office. My primary business is municipalities, been doing it for years. And a huge majority of all the townships in the county here, in Gladwin County, in Clare County, and so forth, are all ours. EMC is our primary company. They have over 10,000 municipalities, so this is not something we take lightly. Tonight, if you have questions for me, I'm happy with board's approval to answer anybody's question. I'll answer them in two ways. One from an insurance industry textbook, And that's probably not what you want me to pursue, because I've been told many times I teach insurance rather than give you a short answer. So I'll do my best. The other is that I'll answer many times from a personal standpoint. What I have found in the industry over the years, I have my counselor's license, my CLU, my LXC, my CHFC, all those things. But I just come to you tonight to answer questions, kind of do a review. There are a couple of things that I would like the board to consider that we'll get into. But to just kind of back up, from time to time, I really encourage my boards to communicate with me. In the past, I talked to George quite frequently. I talked with your clerk a number of times. I talked to the Rupkes a number of times. Had the pleasure of your newest member here and your new supervisor several times. So I don't always make the meetings, but I do try to keep in touch. But even more so, I try to keep in touch with the fire departments and the fire chiefs. They have my numbers. They're to call me 24/7. The only time I'm typically not available is Sunday morning during church. Other than that, I want to know if something occurs. And so with that, we have a lot of times dialogues. And recently, your supervisor asked me to pursue a conversation that had come up. She had heard some things, and she wanted to have us take a look at the fire building. So we went out there, and I went through in an unofficial capacity, not as an insurance EMC person, but as Ken Lind, to say, we probably should address that. There are some things that are coming down the road that a lot of fire departments have, both from a financial and just from a knowledge standpoint, ignored or not even thought about. One of the things that's becoming very prevalent is the fact of uniforms and undergarments, some of the hooding and some of the glove liners and different things, to either replace those frequently or to at least go to a commercial washing system to be able to wash and dry those in a manner to remove the carcinogens. A lot of things that when we look back 10 years ago, we didn't even realize. 10 years ago, we also didn't have a lot of the problems that we have today. Part of those problems can be from the new synthetics. A couple of years ago, they started coming to the fire departments. Chief and I have talked about this, and he's well aware of how some of the new smokes, if I want to call it that, operate different than the old smoke. That sounds crazy. But some of the new smokes, well, and I like to affectionately say they hide. And they can hide in a closet. They can hide in back of various pieces of furniture and apparatus. So now the departments can't just put out the fire and say to the homeowner, well, you might want to go in there and salvage what you can before it gets all soaked and wet. No, you can't do those things anymore. And so there are a lot of things that are going on. One of the areas of concern also is ventilation in fire departments. And we've heard a lot of rumors about things that are going to be mandated. Most all of those have kind of worked their way by the wayside. However, there needs to be some consideration to ventilation. There needs to be consideration to various things as far as not only the washing, but the drying, the ventilation, and then the atmosphere in the department, because you can have dead air pockets and different things, so you're coming back. Visibility is a big thing. And so these are all areas that we look at. When we talk about visibility, I've replaced in the last couple of years a couple of furnaces. What happened? Well, the department bought a new fire truck. The new fire truck is 1.5 feet taller than the old fire truck. And somebody decides to back in the fire truck into the bay that it used to be in, not realizing that they can't back it into that bay anymore until they hear the crunch. And so things change. We buy fire trucks. We buy fire trucks and we insure your fire trucks totally different than anybody that's regularly out there on the street. And the reason I phrase it, I don't know anybody that handles it this way other than us. There used to be a couple of companies back in the 70s and 80s. But we work on a designated value. Now, I don't know if any of you folks in here have an antique car, an antique motorcycle, an antique boat, anything like that. If you do, you could look at, say, my Model A, which my wife feels is worth about $4.50. And it's valued at that much because she's able to pile stuff on it when I'm not around. So she considers it a rack. In my mind, you know, from an insurance standpoint, it's worth about $15,000. Why? Because of the antiquity value, the designated value. Okay? So there's a difference between what some might see it's worth and what someone else might see it's worth. With fire trucks, we don't look per se, it's in the equation and the algorithm, but basically we don't look at those fire trucks from a market condition. Right here in this county, there have been a number of fire trucks in the last 5 years that have sold for a few $1,000s. Why? Because that 1982 tanker, nobody wanted. And nobody could sell it or buy it until they found somebody, maybe a farmer or a well driller, that wanted a water tanker for their business. Now, from our standpoint, as long as that tanker is still in service, that tanker is a tanker. That is say a 2,000-gallon tanker. We're insuring it to replace enough money for you as a township to buy another 2,000-gallon tanker. That's what's important to you. Now, later on, in a moment of insanity, if we want to drift into all these other conversations you're having, there's meaning and I understand passion in it. But the bottom line is tonight, if one or two of your fire trucks go down, you have a real potential problem. Well, we'll just rent them. There's only one place now that I know of in the state that really rents them, and that's from one of my clients. Fire trucks are so expensive that they don't have them like Hertz or Alamo or one of those places. And so it is critical that we maintain a value on those trucks that are up to date with the market so that if something happens, we can replace it. Well, how often do you replace it? Well, I've bought one complete truck in the last couple of years. I've had 3 other trucks catch on fire, and we just had another truck that we had totaled out. That's inside of 20, 22 months. Now granted, we have a lot of townships and municipalities, but it does happen. We look at totaling things out a little bit differently also. The one that I totaled out here 20 months ago, it just slid into a large ditch out in the thumb. Now, the explanation I had is it came off from the paved road onto the gravel road where it was crowned. They hit that crowned road and they slowly went sideways, just like an old-time slow motion. While they were sliding, 3 of the guys in the back that had stood up prematurely started talking to Jesus while this thing was going around. It then hit some stones, went to the edge of the canyon, and rolled into the ditch, all in slow motion. Well, when we got there and we pulled it out, if you would say from here to that flag, you'd say, yeah, you know, maybe that bumper's a little bit crooked. You couldn't see much at all. But as we had the Spartan boys come in, and forgive me, I have a hard time, maybe I should say the Spartan people, forgive me. The Spartan boys came in, they said, really don't want to get into this. We said, why? They said, well, it's an aluminum body, it is a heavy rescue, and we would need to go through to recertify for our safety and look at every single well. And we said, if it concerns you, it concerns us. 73 hours later, I delivered to them a check for $311,000. Because we want to make sure these things are paid fast so that you can get another rate out there. Now, when we look at these, we have a cushion. We have a 25% oops factor, just in case the market shifts. Here in your township, we have not raised your truck values for several years. And now that we're coming out of COVID, between just trucks being slow and the way everything is going, we have now maxed out right to where I feel should be. Your tanker that you have is at 275. And talking with the chief, just say, Chief, what would this thing cost brand new? In his research, we're looking at right in the neighborhood, which I can agree, I do enough of these. Right around, they're at 270, I'm sorry, we need to go to 350. When we look at your pumper, you're at 280, we need to take that one to at least 350. If you ask me what to do, I would say 450. Most of my departments are going 450. Why? Because there's all these new things that they're trying to add to them. Dual heaters, different types of gauges, different type of nozzles, different types of fittings. And so there's that. Your rescue rig, we should go from 200 to 250. And then your large pumper, which has a lot of your safety on it, from 400 to 500. So those are my concerns.
Can I ask for the grass rig at 70,000? Is that still?
Vehicles get repaired.
We just updated one of my other townships the other day, and we're at 80. So, I mean, 80 is about where I'd want to be on that. But to try to help you cash flow wise, we've got a 25% fudge factor.
Right.
So that would give us an extra 15,000. So that would mean that I could compensate you up to 85. I try to keep the premiums down as much as I can, but you know, the other ones, I'd rather leave that at 70 and take the other pumper up to 400 than 350 if I was going to make any adjustments. So those are some things that I believe in this environment we need to address. As far as the building, now I'm going to take just a wide brush here. I don't know who's for, who I haven't talked to the board or the chief, even honest.
Whatever.
You could, listen to me before I get stoned, you could use a new fire barn. You don't have to have a new fire barn. There will come a day when either by the mandates that are going to be imposed, that it's just going to be silly to continue to upgrade and change, or because you're going to outgrow that. But from an insurance standpoint, I can tell you that your department does a good job. There are departments in this county I will not insure. I won't tell you who,
It's not about
but
the
I will
job.
not insure them.
It's not
Because
about
there
the
are
job.
problems in
It's about
housekeeping,
doing the maintenance on
in
the
knowledge, in training, and in attitude. I would rather have a fire chief that is dedicated than some guy with a thick book that wants to tell me all the answers. You have a gentleman here, and again, it's not because Darrell is here, that is proficient in both. Okay? I've been involved with some of the things that he's done, and there's not a problem there. But from the building standpoint, that has to be something that you as a community, and please don't battle over it, You're talking about your lives. I've got a department that's owned by 3 different townships. And I'll pick on you, Bob, because you volunteered, right? Okay. So, I'll pick on you first. You see her. No. I'm just kidding. So, these 3 townships own the fire department. And they all own a different piece of each fire truck. I finally raised my hand. I said, you're a fire department. That's an accounting issue. You've been talking for an hour and a half on accounting. You haven't talked once about respirators, defibrillators, or any of the other things that save lives. I said, sir, would you trust the chief with your life? Oh, absolutely. Would you really trust him with your life? Absolutely, there's no question. Then why are you arguing over accounting? I had straight A's in college in accounting. I don't even balance my own checkbook because I can't do it. Accounting is crazy in this day and age. Okay? Concentrate on the things that are of importance. And so when you get to the point of your building, look at that which you want. Look at that which you need to have. And there are new toys that are out there that are very valuable, and they are stupid expensive. So that's something that I would look at. Last but not least in my report, and then I'm going to make it as quickly as I can. No. Last thing in my report is we have values on the buildings. Your 2 primary values would be 1, this building here of $900,000. If this came to the ground tonight, you could not rebuild this building for $900,000 just because of the way building 2x4s and everything have gone. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do, and I keep repeating that, I know. You have $900,000 on the building. I would ask you to consider raising that at least $100,000. If building prices come down, we can lower it. We lower building prices all the time and raise it. A lot of times what we do is we'll go into one of our competitors, who I won't name, and they'll have $1 million, $2, $3 million on something. So I'll insure it for that, and then I call in our company and they go in and evaluate it. And probably 20% of the time, maybe 26% of the time, we lower values. Now, we also sometimes raise values. But since you built this, I know you couldn't rebuild it for the same price as you did. So that's just something for the board to consider. You can let me know tonight. You can let me know next month. Whatever's convenient for you. So the 2 things that I'd like the board to consider is raising the values on the trucks and raising the building values. And with that, I'm up to the board. If you want to ask me questions, if you want to have me entertaining questions in the audience, you tell me what to do, and I'm happy to try to.
Any questions from the board?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Touch base about volunteers.
Volunteers, they're hard to get, they're hard to control, but we do insure them.
Even with walking sticks.
Volunteers are an area that the board really needs to make some decisions on. I'll give you an example. I was in a meeting, I was asked the same question, and I gave the same answer. And I looked over to the supervisor and she's going,
Not me, I'm with you.
and yeah, I'll be in the Zuko. And I'm like, but there could be situations we want to consider. What are we thinking about? Old hall, 14-foot walls, 12-12 pitch, 3 shingles at the top were missing. And Skippy, in the audience, who used to be a contractor, was bringing over his 40-foot ladder and was going to pull it up over the roof and go up and fix the shingles. So when I said we cover volunteers, with all of his muscles going, yay. And I'm like, And I'm not exaggerating, folks. This is not a comic show. He was seriously, at 90-some years old, going to go up. And I looked at the board and I said, except for when it's reasonable and there's a handicap or an age limit. Most townships limit handicap situations to things that they can work with comfortably. Okay, we're not trying to discriminate, but there are situations that you need to consider. That's not from an insurance company standpoint. We're saying we expect the board to establish, realistic guidelines. Yes, ma'am.
Ken, Laura Dawson. So I'm trying to reiterate and make sure that I understand what you have stated to the board. It's time for us to raise all our coverage on every fire truck.
The grass rig, I think is close enough. You could leave. The others we haven't touched in 4 years.
Okay. So is that something that you could give us in writing, saying you would think that truck A is this?
I don't bring that to you. I meet with the chief, and I've done that, and that's where those numbers came from that I just gave you.
Okay, so is that something you have, Daryl, that you intend on?
Well, supervisor was there as well, and however the board wishes to proceed with establishing, approving increased values, that's what we need to do, because it needs to be, it's a board decision.
Right, and I haven't seen it, so.
No, that's why I came tonight, just to bring that up, to explain how we pay, and to give us, I can send an email and show you what you have versus what we talked about. Be happy to do that for your next meeting, whatever's convenient.
Why didn't you do that?
Because you're right underneath the bill. I know.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
You say this hall should be insured at $1 million value?
Well, I'm just saying that when we established the rates, and George and I sat down and we had the company look at it, we figured that 900,000 was about where at that time it would take to replace it. I'm just saying that 2x4s a year ago were $3 and today they're $8. I don't have an actual number, and some of that stuff fluctuates so much. Shingles were going up, and I understand last week they just came down some. So you just don't know, but drywall is still going up. Resin things, anything that's made out of a resin is still going up.
The other thing is, what about, like, we were talking at one time, putting a sprinkler system in here eventually to make, because it's not always occupied, some kind of a detection system that would call everybody that needs to know. Because if it's sitting there unoccupied until somebody sees the smoke coming out, it'd be kind of a waste.
You do get credit for that.
So it does help our.
It does help your insurance.
Good.
Yeah. And there's some decent systems out now that also pick up moisture. One of our problems that we've had is where, a pipe will break, nobody's in the hall for a month, and they come back in, and the place has become a chia pet. You've got coverage, but it would be a lot nicer if you had a moisture meter that picked that up before the month was up.
Any word on the records?
Yes and no. I'm going to say the answer is no. Now, we could submit a claim. I'm happy to do that. Insurance typically is something that's sudden and unforeseen. In almost every insurance policy on the planet, and I didn't think about this when you and I were talking, there is a vermin exclusion, which is mice and rats. So if that's raccoon manure that's on it, that's not an issue. If it's mice, then that's an issue. but it's not sudden and unexpected. I'm happy to send in a claim and let somebody at a higher pay level than myself look at it and try to make a determination. I was in a conference with Paul Davis Restoration, and they do document restoration. And I thought, aha, maybe we can get a little freebie here. And I asked them about their document restoration, but that was for really old manuscripts and that are, you know, $1 a page or some silly thing. So that didn't work. But I'm happy to submit that.
Is the board in agreement that how we
I didn't
handle
hear what
records?
you asked, Kim.
So the records from the park, they're all nice.
What about it? You want to put a claim in to
Do
see?
you want to see? He just said that he doesn't think it'll go through, but it might go through.
I mean, I can't imagine that it would, means that some people put it there years ago when it wasn't supposed to be put there. And this person asked numerous times for it to be brought back, and it was like, oh, did you ever ask me there? So
Yeah.
it was kind of.
I highly doubt, I'm always, in spite of what Michigan law says, I fight for you. I'm not here to defend the insurance company, so I'm happy to pursue it. I don't think it will.
If you've given it to him and he's in agreement with it, check it out.
And Kev, remember, this hall had to be emptied at one point.
Right, it had to be totally empty.
So
Yep,
those
Yep.
documents were taken out.
yep.
Everything.
It's just been a long time.
Yes.
You know, if they would have just fallen over in a storm, I would say, hey, yeah, there's not an issue. But with the length of time they've been there, I don't know. But we can certainly do that.
Any other questions from the board?
You guys answered already, you guys already asked all the questions that I had written down, so.
Do you want to take questions from Griffin?
Sure, I'm happy to. The young lady in the back, 4 arms been up.
I have two questions. One is, I understand the volunteers are covered if they're injured in a fire. Is there life insurance, and how much is it if someone is killed in a fire, one of the volunteers?
Okay, when you started by volunteers, you're talking about the volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
Okay. Volunteer firemen and firewomen are covered here in the township with work comp. It's standard work comp. Work comp is a statutory type of coverage which the state of Michigan regulates. Okay, the only thing in your case that our company does is to administer the claim. There is a supplemental program which we offer. It's called VFIS, Volunteer Fire Insurance Services, and that adds extra cash, typically a weekly subsidy, and life insurance. You currently do not have the weekly subsidy, nor do you have any life insurance on the firefighters. There is a small, tiny amount in work comp, which is the last person we had die did not even cover full burial costs. That is something that we have discussed in the past with previous boards, and just because of the cost factor, if we were to, let's say we were to do, oh boy, I'll shoot from the hip here. If we were to do $350 a week, which is not a lot, I mean, we have departments that are thousands of dollars a week. But let's say we were $350 a week with $75,000 or $100,000 in case they were killed, you know, on scene, would probably cost $1,800 roughly a year for the township. And we've paid a lot of claims.
I personally think it's more important than the building. The second question, I don't know if the board has asked you yet, but in the last meeting, they discussed,
one of the residents had mentioned putting a leave a book, take a book, small library. They were considering whether there was any liability of setting that up at the park.
Is there liability? Absolutely. Am I worried about it? Nope.
Is it covered? It's covered.
I'm protecting the township. When you say, forgive me, this is an academic question. If it's covered, there are many things. If the book is stolen, who's paying for the book? If the library gets sued.
Donated books and
Yeah,
leave a
you
book,
know,
take a book.
yeah, within reason, I'll say yes. The problem with those, not to drift down this road, is it's kind of important for you to have some way to manage them, not just anybody, because some of the potential issues are that somebody leaves an inappropriate book in there, and then somebody takes it out, and next thing you know, you're in court. And so those are issues, but I am protecting the township, and am I going to worry at all about it? No, we have them in
Is there any
many.
problem with having one at the hall?
Pardon me?
Is there any difference in having one at the park and one at the hall? Like if we had more adult books at the hall and then children's books at the park?
My only thought in that is during the winter, it would probably be more accessible here.
Thank you.
Christie, if I may interrupt while we're talking about that subject, I did speak to Maddie's mom today, and they are moving forward on it, and they will be at the next meeting, and they want to clarify, they only want to do the park to start with.
That's a good
So,
idea.
They should be at the next meeting to give everybody.
No one's at the hall.
What's that?
No one's at the hall.
Well, it's
Barely.
not
You-
that, it's because it's Maddie, you know, it's a girl.
And we've had that situation where they spent time at the park and they wanted it at the park.
Yes.
They got one by a museum at the township.
That's what, because she figured there are children that go there and she wanted to tune in. And if it works out at the park and she decides to come to the hall, the only thing I told her is to give us enough time to be able to contact Miss Dig if they're anticipating, you know, sinking a post.
Yep.
So, but other than that, they were building it, you know, no cost to.
I'm probably not going to insure the books in it from the standpoint of somebody comes and leaves the doors open and 6 books get ruined because it rains. Number one, it'll be lower than the deductible, but,
right.
you know, just something. Yes, sir.
You spoke earlier about mandates coming down regarding the buildings and the fire equipment. Would they be legislative mandates, meaning laws, or would they be agency mandates, meaning suggestions?
Well, it depends on who you talk to.
I'm talking about law.
I know, but I mean, you know, one of my fire chiefs is very, very heavily involved with the state of Michigan itself. And he kind of has his own ideas about what needs to be done. I understand that the majority of the things that are going to be critical are going to be actually state laws. There is a possibility that they might bring some of them through a twisted way of OSHA, and there is possibly some things under all this new COVID and Good Health for America that there might be some almost guidelines that require you to do it.
But those are not laws.
But those aren't laws, and those would be your decision. But there are, we really believe that you're going to probably, if not, I know that's a double negative, you're going to believe that you're going to probably need proper bathrooms, proper showers, ventilation, lighting, non-stick surfaces, you know, a lot of those, and some of those are not quick, easy fixes. Try to have a non-stick surface where you're driving fire trucks in and out during the winter. I mean, it's virtually impossible. But if you get somebody that slips and falls, they're going to complain that, oh, well, it wasn't non-stick. And I'm not trying to be a problem child. I have a part-time assessor. okay, in his 80s, goes to the hall, picks up a package of papers, walks out to his car, takes the doorknob, goes to step in, slips and falls. Michigan no fault. If you're touching the car, you get in an accident, it's the car's problem. But yet he's the assessor. Police or the fire department comes, he won't go to the hospital, he signs all the releases. Okay, he goes home. The next morning he's dizzy, he falls again. And now he has to end up in the hospital and then rehab. Well, who pays? The work comp for the township, his auto insurance, his homeowner's insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. Some of these things become real twisted. So when you say, is it a law or not? In my world, that's not the extent of it as to the problem. It's who pays a claim. If there's...
But that's a different thing, is who pays the claim.
Yeah, I know.
Whether it was a law or whether it was a mandate.
To some extent.
Agency thing, that's two different things. How you enter into it is, okay, how do I pay it or whatever. But if it's a law, then it's a law and it's made by the people who we elect.
And I think most of these things are eventually going to be laws. I think they're going to be requiring some type of a negative air system to draw all of the exhaust out of the building.
But if it's a law, we can live with it.
Yeah.
If it's not, then...
And we're not telling you to do these things. We're just saying, you know, when these are things that you need to consider in the future. And when we did the walk through the building, that's why I say, would it be nice for a new building? Sure. Could you use a new building? You can always use more space. Do I feel you have to have a new building tonight? No. But there are things that are coming very quickly in the future that you're going to have to address. Do we put new roofs on? Do we do this? Do we do that? Where is the break-even point? And you are entering that time zone.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm concerned, we have a spray park with children. What sort of liability does the township have if they hire someone and they haven't done a background check and the person has a sexual offense?
Every liability you can think of other than communism.
Okay, what if it's a volunteer? Doesn't get paid by the township.
You still have all of those. See, as a volunteer, let's go back to that. A volunteer, there are different kinds of volunteers. There's a volunteer that's willing to come and help set up tables and you know, do things because Mary was such a great person in the community, we're going to help at the funeral dinner. There are volunteers who say, you know what, I really think that the park needs to have a couple of new flower beds, I'll be in charge of it. There's the kind of volunteer that says, hey, you need some new lights. Well, that's a whole different kind because they're not volunteering just they're screwing in light bulbs or changing light things. They are incorporating their business now. And we're protecting the volunteers slip and fall and bump and bruise. Okay? We're not covering the volunteers rewiring the whole building, or in your case, if they're volunteering at the spray park, we're not covering the fact that they know CPR or that they know these things. We're covering the fact that if that volunteer is sitting there, falls off and hurts themselves, and the Blue Cross Blue Shield has a $600 bill that's not paid, there's a high probability, there's a fine line between government immunity and what's covered, but, you know, we're covering those volunteers. We're covering the volunteer that says, hey, I want to help pass out candy at the trick or trunk thing. But things like sexual background checks, I know the chief runs checks on everybody. We run checks on all the MDRs, and we don't charge you because those things are all critical. So if you're going to have a lifeguard, you're going to have people at the spray park with kids, things like that. You should have a policy and procedure in place that says, what are we going to do? Because it's hard to find volunteers. So now all of a sudden it becomes a little bit scary when someone says, hey, me, pick me, pick me. You're going, why? So yes, there should be a background check that's done, in my personal opinion, not EMC. My personal opinion, you should run background checks on that. You should run background checks on if somebody decides that they're going to put in new lights, and you've got to give them a key to the front door. You want to make sure that they've got insurance, and we've talked about it before, make sure you've got a certificate. You know, there's a major city in the thumb that they hired a guy with his backhoe to do a little bit of work down on Main Street. He zippity-doo-dah away, cuts the main fiber line right in town, turned his machine basically off, put it up on the trailer, drove home, called his attorney, and filed bankruptcy. Come to find out, his certificate of insurance had lapsed the week before.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
So these things, all you need to try to maintain. So yes, the splash park needs to have, you know, individuals who you've got a reasonable understanding. Now, many times what we find in splash parks is you've got Mary or Sally or Tom or Bill who lives down the road. They like it, and they say, hey, this summer, you know, not guaranteed next summer, but this summer I'll be responsible from 9 until 2 o'clock on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. So.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Carol Schaefer.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. Was there a claim actually placed against the spray park maintenance and the breakage?
I don't know of any breakage. Last fall, I came over and did an inspection like I've done sometimes, and I know that there was some comments saying that everything had been drained and blown out. I personally, on a couple of those larger containers, lifted the lid off, and your supervisor was very kind, and I probably was rude, because I dipped my hand in and I said, who thinks this is covered? Because there was water all in the line.
Do you recommend that we have someone, a professional, maintain that spray park?
I'm not saying who you should have. You should have somebody that's going to be
licensed, insured.
Personally, I would say that's obviously the best. But we do have a lot of things where board members or people are hired that do maintenance on those things. And if the great oops occurs, I'll say generally, unless it was something intentional, that's why you have insurance. And that's why I'm paranoid. And that's why I show up at different times that you guys never see. And,
Thank you.
You know, do these things.
And in regards to the backhoe thing that story you just.
Yeah.
So what about if we let our skid steer be used by another company or volunteer or something?
They have a liability with us that is current, that says Lee Township on it.
Okay, somebody has provided you with insurance with Lee Township. Now, the board and I have discussed this before. One of the things that you guys should have a policy on is, what's insurance? Okay? And it wasn't with you, I know, this wasn't, I know. But it was with another clerk in county here. Her and I were talking about it. She said, I always get this. I thought, okay. I said, where's your drawer with the in? Right here. I said, okay, open it up. She opened it up, and the first one she pulled out, it was, you know, Billy's sidewalk repair with Hastings Mutual, 50,000, 100,000. Okay, put in. Next one, pulled it out. Delisle Excavating, 1 million, 1 million from Citizens. Pulled out the next one, and it was, you know, 100, 300. Did like 7 of them. Only 2 of them had the same amounts of insurance. So what I recommend is that the board establish an amount of insurance that you want to live with. So if somebody's borrowing the backhoe right now, and they have signed a contract with indemnification and hold harmless and exculpatory, not exculpatory, but indemnification, and anyway, so that if they break it, they pay for it, not just their insurance, because there are things that they can do to your equipment that insurance won't pay for. So an insurance policy basically protects you liability-wise. Okay, so you need to decide what's a good, reasonable amount of insurance. If you want to have a tree cut down, do you want to have the guy cut it down that has 5,100? Or do you want the guy to cut it down that has 100, 500? Well, what is going to be your criteria? I'm not going to tell you what to have. I think you should at least have, 100,000 on liability on most small things, and if you're going to do anything major, then you should be upping it, but that's got to be your decision. But as far as if they gave you insurance, make sure you have a contract that they pay for what they break too. Because if they break it, their insurance probably is not going to pay for it. Or if they bust somebody else's stuff, that insurance isn't going to probably pay for the busted up stuff, so you could get it for that too. There's an implied liability when you loan something out or rent something or let someone use it, that then always trickles back like little fingers. And they're very difficult, so that's why the contract and so forth is important. Hello.
Hi.
Uh-oh.
So glad to see you in person. I've read some of your reports about the dump and some other stuff. So the timing of your presence is interesting as well regarding the fire department and such. I have a question about one of your first comments about you saying that you're here speaking in unofficial capacity about the presentation that you gave us here tonight. Have you presented written documentation to the board about all the numbers that you have indicated here already?
Yeah, we provide, we do a presentation every year. We go through line by line.
Okay, that's okay. I just wanted to ask that because you said you were here in an unofficial capacity, and so I didn't know whether your recommendations were based on something that you had already written and presented to them.
No, you're all renewed. Everything's fine. It's just, I usually try to come at least every year or every other year. Now, your case was a little bit special because I talked to Daryl so much and I was talking to George a lot. But usually I try to come once or twice. The whole COVID thing just drove me nuts because this is what I do. Monday through Thursday, I'm in a board meeting the first 3 weeks. Well, during COVID, I sat in my office and named all the birds and squirrels in the yard. So now I'm, getting back out here, and like tonight was just an unofficial. There's nothing they have to do. There's nothing I'm requiring. I'm just here to
And do
catch up.
you do an annual assessment of all the services and coverages you present for the board, or is this on an as-needed basis? Because it was peculiar to me that your report for the dump was given after everything started and it was instigated by the supervisor.
The report I gave on the dump and the report I gave on the fire department were done as I was requested. However, I have done those things several times in the past. And I've done the splash pad in the past. We did the restroom. The restroom. We've done the fire department, this building, and the dump and the splash pad.
Okay. I have, the questions that I'm asking, obviously you're good at your job, and I commend you at being a really good salesperson from the insurance perspective. I just have an issue with how the board addresses what things are absolute necessities and taking the risk assessment evaluation and taking time to make those decisions. So it's just been interesting with the timing of everything, and this I say mostly for the purpose of the residents sitting here, that you issued a report about the dump when everything was happened, when requested by the supervisor, and then the speculation being that multiple funds have been transferred to the fire department for multiple issues. Now here you are giving us a new assessment about the fire situation, which we're gonna have to get more funds for that, somehow, and now come to find out that you also are involved in the, issue regarding the records, which is the reason why possibly the records aren't being given, to attorneys, because the same, board is trying to make a claim on the records that they should have had in the first place.
Yeah.
So this is more for their benefit. I
If
understand,
I
but
can
the
just-
timing of everything that you have done has been just very interesting. And last question that I have is, how many competitors that do you have that insure municipalities in the area that you think work in this area?
One.
Okay.
Realistically, the ones that you had before.
Okay.
And they're totally different than what we do. They're now owned by the Japanese.
Okay.
So a lot
I
of,
can research that.
you know,
on my own. I just wanted to
that's,
see what you
yeah,
said.
there's one major one. If you were larger, you could probably get MML, which is the Michigan Municipal League. They're a good group, but they primarily, they do the city of Midland and like that. A good friend of mine is on their executive committee for their workers' comp. But as far as it comes to townships and things like that, we are the leading ones out there. I say that humbly. It's only by the grace of God that I have this job. It's nothing of my own doing. And so it's something that we have reasons behind the coverages that we have. And if you would like, I would be happy to meet with anybody. There's no secrets here. This is all researchable, all documentable.
Yeah, I know.
And so, it's, in the past, like I say, I've had these conversations, at different times with the chief. One of the biggest issues in my life is to make sure my fire departments and chiefs are taken care of. And that if they have a claim with a fireman, fire lady, rescue worker, that we take them and make sure they're quickly, bills paid and all this. So when you have a township that doesn't have a lot of other things going on, then I look like a splash pad. And quite frankly, I come over and do different things when no one's around. Because sometimes if people know I'm coming, all of a sudden things are cleaned up. So if I just show up at the splash pad and, use the restroom and see how things are, I can tell if there's garbage on the floor, if the floors are slippery, which I've never found here. There are, like I say, there are places in this county that I won't insure.
Thank you again.
Cobweb in the corner?
I'm putting someone to sleep. It's like a Baptist. I can speak that way because I'm from Baptist.
Right, any other questions for Ken? Well, thank you, Ken.
Well, that was shorter than I expected. I mean,
We don't need to be here till midnight.
Better well. Thanks, Ken.
You are welcome. I will be here for the duration.
All right. We'll go ahead and move on to the approval of the board minutes from June 14th. Laura, I do have a question. I think that this was just left in there. Under payroll, Dave is owed 2 hours on next check.
I know I saw that, I was trying to figure out what I was meaning, but I did, I think he was owed, and it didn't catch up, so I don't know, Christie.
Can we redline it?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Is there any other comments or discussion on the minute?
Yes. We had in the packet, to make some revisions on
I
several.
think I did, unless I was trying to look for that a few minutes ago. So I had given you all just a couple of things. The first one was the planning commission, no name. So I didn't pay, because I
Don't pay no name?
yeah, so, and it was like, the only reason I knew who it was from was because he emailed it to me, but the planning commission chair emailed it to him, and he just forwarded it to me. So, the second one, like you're talking about, last month, when I gave the, fire department the total amount due, I missed a secondary firefighters, so it actually was more, and that's why I gave you this, so that you knew that's actually what it was, because it came to 2,586 instead of, I believe it's in here in the minutes. So, the one, we do need to, when we do it, see how I have the minutes, the 1,999 needs approved. So.
So we need to do that as well, you know?
Yeah, yes, because I paid it, but it didn't get approved because we had see what I'm saying, it was for $4,697.92 last month, and it came to be the total of $6,696.92.
Are we talking about this one that you put the note on?
There were two of them.
Okay, so the general ledger, journalized entry, that total I have is $6,671.92.
Say that again?
It says $6,671.92.
You hate, oh, yes, okay.
So is that what the total was supposed to be, is what you're saying, not the,
Yes,
you've got
yes,
6,696.92?
Yeah.
So we need to correct that to 6,671?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll make that correction?
Yeah. So 6,671.92. And then, what made the difference in that, Christie, because we did have the difference for the workers' comp had made that difference. And then, as long as we're talking about it, Darla had caught bills. I have no idea why, when I did this, on the one I gave you guys the check proof for the, general, one place it corrected it, another place it didn't. So, on this, but you see, it came to Bill's individual figure was correct. See, I wrote correct beside, this one, Bill. But in the bottom line, it didn't change it. So don't ask me why. So it never took the 288 in the bottom figure.
That's 1288.
Yeah, 1288. Yep. And I can't answer. I did, they're supposed to be looking into it. So.
You're done with your questions on that? The amount that you gave is a total amount of $3,832.53. Down in general, on your minute.
Okay.
You've got $38.32.53. We actually paid $33,732.53.
That's what I have right here. That's what I said. It should be 33,732.53.
So that'll be a correction you make?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Perfect.
And I didn't want to do that until I was here and everybody understood what I was doing, so.
Perfect. I just want to make sure we had them all corralled.
Anything else? All right, can we get a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for June 14th with those corrections.
I'll support it. So Bill made a motion to to approve the minutes for June 14th with the corrections, and Darla seconded it. Go ahead and take roll.
All right, Darla?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
I'll say yes. Lawrence?
Yes.
All right, motion carried. Noting up here where it says that we have printer challenges, do we know what's going on when you have to turn it on now before you can wirelessly print to it?
It's because of the internet challenge and the no phone. I'm going to have to, my intent is to come back to work, but what I'm asking is with all of the challenges, when I do come back, please don't bombard me as far as the residents. I'm begging you, because if you do, I can't do my job. That's one reason why I went home. Because I can't answer 50 phone calls a day and stay focused on what I'm supposed to do.
You need a volunteer.
All right. Bill, you want to give the treasurer's report, please?
Laura, how about the deputy clerk?
She has a full-time job and she's paid for, 1 day a week, which she does do. So that doesn't help me the rest, because when I was here before, I was here Monday through Thursday, pretty much all day.
And she don't have all the answers.
Nobody does though.
Right.
He said she
Takes
doesn't.
time.
She said
No
he
one
doesn't
else
have
is
all the
here.
answers,
No.
but nobody.
Bill has an office,
Well,
she
she
never
still has
goes
to
to
work
it.
to ask.
Should be here.
She's got an office, she never goes to
Okay,
it.
for the general
I never
fund,
see your car here.
general fund, bank balance beginning is 428, 812, and 34 cents. Ending balance is 401, 437, and 3 cents. The fire fund, beginning balance is 354, 114, and 99 cents. The ending balance is 374, 319, and 87 cents. Payroll, beginning balance is 30,801 and 69 cents. Ending balance is 29,864 and 40 cents. For the solid waste fund, beginning balance is 38,967 and 99 cents, with an ending balance of 37,617 and 48 cents. The water fund checking, the beginning balance is 221, 299 and 42 cents. The ending balance is 311, 407 and 47 cents. And for the CDs, we have, the fire has currently CDs totaling 561,150 and 94 cents, whereas general has CDs totaling 454,916 and 76 cents. Currently, as of the end of April, I'm still trying to get a report out of county because the audit's been a while. So I only have the total as of the end of April, and I don't think we've moved any money since then. So the water balance is $408,578.65. And as part of the treasurer's report, shall I hold it to the unfinished business? I would like to move that 300,000 out of our checking account that's at the TCF over to county. I got the request sent to you?
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
I got it.
Do I need to do any kind of motions on that, or she's got the
Yeah,
information, so?
Let's do a motion on it, if you want to make that now.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we move 300,000 from checking at TCF over to the county class so that they can pay our bond payments on time.
I'll second. All right, so Bill made a motion to move 300,000 from the water checking over to the county Michigan class fund so that they can pay the bond payment. Seconded by me. All right, go ahead and call roll. Christie? Yes.
And Bill?
Yes.
I'll say yes. Lawrence?
Yes.
And Darla?
Yes. Motion carried. Anything else with the treasurer's report, Bill?
No, ma'am.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do. I had someone call me, and, it was on taxes, and to make a long story short, he finally called me back, because he was asking me questions, and I was answering them, and, he said that you finally called him back, and that you gave him the information that he needed to pay his credit card online. And I know we had talked about it, and we approved it, but does anybody know about it?
No.
It'll be on the website.
It should have been.
I didn't want to interfere with what's going on in terms of
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I was wondering if it's in effect, maybe it should have gone out with the
I
tax
didn't
bill
have time with the flyer
to do
because
it,
I was
okay.
working, I didn't get to test it right up until almost.
Well, he said it worked.
Right, but I went and tested it myself, so I
Yourself,
made sure
okay.
it worked, functioned properly, all the stuff was flows moved, I get notifications and
Okay.
everything works. He went ahead after that and went ahead and used it, and he was, very impressed with it. So it does work.
He said it's a certain percent, and
2.65% they'll charge.
he said, I was thinking, he said it was, might have been higher.
Right on the money.
Okay.
Because of our volume of the tax we
And with it
handle,
being-
that sets their rate.
With it being,
Now, they can change it again
governmental
tomorrow.
too.
Yeah.
But he said it did work, so anybody that wants to pay their taxes now after this can use a credit card
Sure.
online,
Sure.
so hopefully the information will be.
It's true, tried and tested.
That would include a debit card?
I believe so.
I think so.
They'll still charge you a percentage, and they will warn you up front, so it'll be right on the screen.
And it doesn't come to us, it goes to them.
They get their money and we get our money.
All right, approval of the bills. For fire, do you have questions? Discussion.
Well, on mine, in my packet, 3522 through 3524 is missing.
Carla, how do you always get
I
one
don't
that's
know, I
missing?
have 4 missing. I don't know.
The copy machine don't like it.
Well, tonight it did, it was supposed to give me 3 pages for the minutes and only gave me 2, so what numbers, Darla, and I'll make sure you get it.
3522 through 3525.
So you don't have the, what do I want, statements for them, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
On the backup invoice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Your phone, her phone, because she said Heidi's gonna run out. So remind me to give it back to her.
Oh, yeah. My phone might, but the tablet's going and they can
must
hear
hear
it,
it.
so.
It could be my
They
dog.
can hear it now. I took the
How
microphone,
many
some,
of
the
you, when you were
microphone
in
won't work with
school,
Facebook.
told your teacher, I don't have my homework assignment because my dog ate it?
On fire.
No, so if anybody is curious as to why you look at one number and it gives you the 2 different numbers, I guess I never noticed it before this time, but I was really looking at it. Comes to 16,404.40 in one place, and then 15,715.90 in another place, and I said there, okay. Wondering again, Dan, is this a glitch? What's going on here? No, it's the firefighters' dues. That's the difference, and I finally figured it out, because it's not something that we're paying out, they're paying it out.
Well,
See?
that would be our, isn't that the revenue subtracted from?
But it's no.
We're keeping.
Yes.
We don't.
We're
we can't
holding it
afford
for them, it's not really coming out of our budget, and so it was like, what in the
Set
world?
aside.
Another glitch.
Yeah.
But,
It doesn't
so,
tell you that, but
yes, so then if you're going in this aspect and you approve, do you really approve 16,404.40, or do you really approve 15,715.90? I'm giving you a brain challenge.
you don't move the funds, right? They're still setting up in,
No, there's a check being written
oh, okay. Then it would be approved, the
at
gross.
the 16th, so,
Right.
brain challenge, yeah.
Water District has a really nice
she's manipulated the spreadsheet to show the check numbers, who it's to, and the amounts, and then just a total at the bottom, so we don't have all the extra lines and numbers. Maybe I can see if she can send me
She
the,
has a spreadsheet, she probably dumps it into.
yeah.
Yeah, because this, wouldn't allow you to have a check number because you haven't created the check yet.
Well, I mean invoice number.
Right. This gives the invoice number, I put the invoice number in.
Yeah, but
It's
this is strictly just
You should check.
3 lines,
She does
so
the
that,
check number done.
But if you haven't written the check numbers yet,
That's the way your report is, I don't know where she's coming with, so.
that's
And she
interesting.
does use BSNA, so.
Okay, so anyways, the fire amount to be approved and paid is $16,404.40.
alright, can we get a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve the fire payment at $16,404.40.
I'll second. Alright, so Bill made a motion to approve fire bills at $16,404.40, seconded by me. Any discussion further on that? Go ahead and take roll, Laura.
Bill?
Yes.
I will say yes. Lawrence?
Yes.
Darla?
No.
And Christie?
Yes. Alright, payroll?
Okay. I do have down here the one for Tom, but I would like to, even though I gave it to you guys tonight, I put where we can approve it next time. So that brings us to, gross of $15,069.82 and a net of $12,062.82. And it would be the, net that we would be approving, the rest is tax. And I sent those to everybody today.
So we're not approving our tax that we have to as,
Yes, you have to, I'm sorry.
so what was the
Shake
number
me up.
included with our portion of the tax?
15.
Yep.
06982.
Okay. Any questions on payroll?
Sydney, that piece you just gave us?
No,
You
she
know, I
emailed it.
emailed
Oh, okay.
it today. It's
That's the one for the May, the
first
8 days in May for.
yeah, the one that everybody got, there's something else on my computer and I had to call Tess. I sent everybody their check stubs, I really did. And Robin texted me and said, didn't get check stubs. I'm like, okay, that's weird, I did it. So I did it again.
You read that count, that 15,000 what?
069?
Yep, 8.82. So anyways, I really honestly ended up trying it 7 different times, and I thought for sure, okay, what's going on? Everybody's gonna get this 7 times.
I got it twice.
Yes, you're lucky, because I really did do it 7 times, and you really.
That's okay, because I got the email saying you sent it, and I was like, I don't have a check stub, I don't know what she's talking about. But it was in my other email, because I was sent to my personal email.
So I have it corrected, so there shouldn't be any more challenges with that.
Alright, any discussion for this month's payroll?
I'll make a motion to pay payroll at $15,069.82.
I'll second.
Okay.
Alright, so Bill made a motion to pay payroll at $15,069.82, seconded by Christie. And Laura, go ahead and take roll.
I will say yes. Lawrence?
Yes.
Darla?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, on to solid waste. Everybody got the notice, or the email I printed out from Scott. It says, Christie, here's the updated table with about half the quarter without being the transfer station. I expect a similar decline next quarter now that things have settled, and the full quarter will be without the transfer station. Lowest yard since winter of 2019 and 40% less volume than the average of most 9 quarters. Also noteworthy is the flood/dam failure quarter was your highest volume ever. The next quarter was the second highest, next quarter was third highest, and next after that was the fourth highest. You set records for volume 4 consecutive months following a flood that didn't hit your township border. And then he gave the breakdown from since 2017 and the second largest township invoices compared to Lee, along with the percent. You guys all received that? Great. The Republic bill.
I have a couple questions on that if I can.
Can I go over? Okay, so the $33 for 2829 West Isabella, that should not have been placed on there. They are going to credit that.
That was one of my questions.
Then I asked about, because it says total amount due, past due, I asked if it was because of the due date and where our board meetings fall, and if we can do something to adjust that so that it doesn't look like we're consistently behind in our bills.
We will.
They are supposed to look into that and let me know of when we can adjust it, because sometimes there's 3 weeks, yes, Bill, what?
Suggestion, if they don't wanna move that, I would suggest that we pay that bill when it comes in, like we do consumers and
utilities.
everything else.
But I just got it, Bill.
I understand.
Well, I
But
suppose,
if the
yes.
date hits it wrong, we need to pay it.
Because in the contract, it's paid within 10 days.
Okay, what's today's date?
July
We can do an
12th.
ACH
It
on
was
it if we have to.
2 days ago. So,
We can do the same thing. as
Yeah.
you
So
do.
am I to write the check? Because
So,
that was
for-
one of my questions.
Yes, so for both of these, and then the second invoice, the 133.23 for the delivery, that is gonna be credited. And I've made you a fancy little list.
So
And they're also going to put the credit for the 256.50 for the service attempt on February 25th. So I'll give this to you.
But I'm still to pay that
So
bill
pay,
also?
so pay both of these invoices, the amount due, that way it'll be a clean look when they change the due date, and it'll show the credits efficiently, instead of, we didn't pay, but then they have to make it, so it will
We're paying
be,
as listed then.
what?
We're paying these bills as listed.
Yes,
Okay.
well, no.
No, not the full.
Not the
yeah.
28,000,
Yes.
no, that's only the,
The total due this time with the 33 is 14,266.67. And it is on the current amount with the 33 if you take the other, so.
yes. Yep, and then they'll apply that charge, give us the credit, and send that to the home of those people. And then, I haven't seen the Windstream.
I had that in my correspondence. I, sent another email and I resent the letter that they closed our account because they thought evidently we just weren't paying the bill, but I had sent them.
So that's how we get it taken care of?
Yes, just not paying. So I had sent a letter and evidently they never got it, so I emailed it and I asked them to go back and look at it because I asked, it was in April. I said, would you please, go back and send us a final bill according to the date that the letter is written. So I never heard from him. I just emailed him again the other day. Carlos said it would be reopened. So as soon as I get it, I will let everybody know. And that is one bill that when I get it, I will pay it right away because that's one that I have authorization not to wait on, so. But it was like up to
So
almost
May, June, and
500.
July, they're not charging us for that?
They should not be because I sent the letter in April,
Okay,
so.
so when you get it, if it has May, June, and July,
I will re-question them again.
okay. Scott O'Laughlin is the, what is his title? He is the landfill superintendent.
So those answered my questions anyways, Christie.
I figured. Any other questions or comments on the waste station? All right, so
With the insurance and both of the, two Republic bills, it comes to $16,239.21.
all right,
Ready?
ready.
I'll make a motion to pay the solid waste at $16,239.21.
Correct. I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, Bill made a motion to pay the solid waste bills at $16,239.21. Seconded by Laura. Go ahead and take roll.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Darla,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I will say yes.
All right, on to water. There was something for water this month.
Yes, the
The
insurance,
insurance.
which is $5,509.98, but add Bill's $300,000 request to the county.
We already made a second motion for that, though, didn't we? A separate motion?
We never made a motion for it.
We didn't make a motion for that?
You said we'd wait.
I did? You did? Oh,
I think so.
cool.
I'd rather have two.
You're taking a minute.
No, he said he was gonna make a motion at that time, but it can be done all in one. If you're okay with that.
So it'll be $305,509.98 is what we're approving.
Correct.
I'll make that motion. I'll move it twice.
All right, I'll second it. So Bill made a motion to pay water at $303,509, no, 305, sorry.
Thank you.
$305,509.98, 300,000 of which is going to county for the Michigan class.
Correct.
Seconded by me. And go ahead and take roll when you're ready, Laura.
Okay. So, Darla,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
I will say yes, and Lawrence.
Yes.
All right, motion carried. And general.
I have a total amount due of $24,690.79.
Any discussion, questions?
You ready?
Are you ready? Nothing?
I'll make a motion to pay general at $24,690.79.
I'll second.
Okay, I just was gonna say it.
Bill made a motion to approve general bills at $24,690.79. Seconded by Christie. Any discussion? Go ahead and take roll when you're ready.
Christie,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
I will say yes, Lawrence,
Yes.
and Darla.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Daryl,
Good evening.
you're on deck. Good evening.
First of all, I guess let's, have we got a new perspective, quite a bit, so, board is ready, we can have Timmy stand up here and ask away.
Hi, Timmy. Do you go by Timmy?
Go.
Tim? That's what I figured, but. Why do you want to join our fire department?
I'd
I think they're useful for the community to help out. I've got time now, got some background where I think it'd be useful to help, you know, background that, with the useful experience I have over a lifetime, you know, I think I can get some help.
Alright,
I've got time and I'd like to volunteer.
and what's your availability?
Right now, I'm semi-retired, I work 2 days a week and, take 6 days off.
Job for everybody.
I've got more to do that, so I'm gonna run about the roads every day, I just work a couple days a week, but I'm out of town when I work, so.
So are you actually in Greendale Township then?
Yes.
Nice.
What's some of that experience that you spoke of?
Well, I've been a mechanic, I've been a welder, I know how to operate pumps, I'm holding a CDL license so I can drive about anything. Military background, so I've worked with hazmat, a lot of training in the military that applies, I believe, you know, first aid, different things.
And do you have your firefighter 1 or 2 or
I haven't
medical?
been trained on it.
Okay. And Laura, did we get the ETC results?
That's what I was just looking for, because I just didn't see it in the to see if,
They said they were gonna fight.
yes, yep. It's probably with Daryl's stuff, but if I'm paying it, I remember seeing it now, yes, he's fine. So, he passed.
Any other questions?
Tim, you realize that this, town fire department serves 2 townships?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and you need to be responding to both townships.
Yes, I know that.
Okay.
Alright, here's a tough one for you.
Okay.
You believe in Santa Claus?
Yes.
Alright.
From the beach to the.
Anybody else have any, let's not push it one, we finally got a yes.
Need a motion to approve the employment application for
Timmy.
Fair.
I'll make the motion that we hire him as a firefighter.
Second?
Alright, so Lawrence made a motion to hire Timmy Fair for the volunteer fire department, seconded by Bill.
Effective today.
Yes,
Paperwork.
all of it, lots of it. Will be brought your pen.
I need you to, connect with me then to get paperwork, and we need to do roll call first, I'm stepping ahead, so, sorry.
Go ahead and take roll.
Bill?
Yes.
I will say yes. Lawrence?
Yes.
Darla?
Yes.
And Kristen?
Yes.
Okay, so now,
Welcome aboard.
yes, are you staying the rest of the meeting?
Yes.
We can do it at the worst then.
After midnight.
I did actually get a chance to actually get a printed report to you. I left it on your table there. Last month, we responded to 9 fires in Lee, 14 medicals, 12 traffics, for a total of 35 runs in Lee Township. In Greendale, we had 5 fire, 5 medical, 4 traffic for 14. We had 1 mutual aid fire, 2 mutual aid traffic for 3. So we responded to 15 fires, 19 medicals, 18 traffics, for a total of 52 incidents. So yeah, it's starting to creep back up again. I would also recommend that we do increase the insurance coverages, as Ken spoke of, in order to get that replacement value up. Fire trucks are going out of sight. I just talked to an apparatus manufacturer. Commercial chassis aren't gonna be available. We wouldn't, if we ordered today, we wouldn't see a new truck for at least 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Commercial chassis aren't available. They're already sold, already committed. Usually we're at least a year out. But right now, that's what it is. Custom, we could get probably about 6 months earlier at an additional cost. Commercial being like an international truck versus Spartan cab, or, you know, or the manufacturer, Pierce Rosenbauer, they make their custom cabs as well, with their custom frames and all of that, so. But that's where we're at right now. So we certainly need to look at, increasing those coverages. We just tried to print some stuff at the, station the other night. We're getting some lines through our printer. We're gonna have, guy come over, take a look at it, and make a recommendation. It's from 2015. We haven't done a thing to it in that since 2015. So is it a $200 part, or is it a $200 part plus we're gonna be looking at, you know, they know the machine, they'll be able to tell us whether or not it's wear, tear, and time to replace, or.
Is it commercial or just, go to Staples and get one?
No, it's more commercial, because we do use it. Robin uses it probably 4 to 6 times at least a week. Plus, when I get in, I have lots of other stuff to print out, so that I can keep track of stuff. Let me cross off my little list here so I don't forget anything. I did get the tires moved at our cost. Those were taken care of.
The tires somebody dropped off.
The tires that somebody dropped off.
Because they said it was moved to the back, and then I went.
I think they were, and Daryl told me, what was it, Sunday? We talked Friday, Saturday?
And then they were back out front again.
I don't know. I grabbed them and took them up personally so that they would get removed. We got reimbursed out of petty cash, so that.
Okay, how much for that?
It'll come through with petty cash. As I preface this part, I'd like to remind the board and everybody here a couple of sayings that's been around for a long time. One is you don't know what you don't know. And 2 is ignorance of the law is no excuse. So, you were kind enough to send me to some training. And as I went to the training, the last one was drafting and implementing effective fire department policies and procedures. And in that class, I learned how to effectively write a policy and procedure. If I were to just rewrite the approximately 75 that I've got right now to where they need to be, I would be doing full-time work from now until well into next year. It's not a joke. To write legally defensible policies and procedures, like Ken told you, I don't take this job lightly. It's not a joke. This is, you know, one suit takes all the money we've got to operate the fire department. It goes someplace other than to protect you all. Okay? So, the policies and procedures, I've got about 75 that I've written over the years. Basically, those came from originally City of Midland to Jerome to Coleman, who was where I got them from, and then customized them as best as I could to our fire department. In that class, I was given some information to look at a company that will actually work with me to write the policies, procedures. Theirs would be about another 100 policies and procedures over what I've got now. Some of these, when you're talking about fire departments like City of Midland, they've got about 40 operational policies and procedures. That doesn't include all of the city policies and procedures that are for all the employees, like harassment and all of those kinds of things. I've got to develop that because we've got to have those policies and procedures there as well. I talked to Homer Township Chief. He's off the top of his head, he thinks he's got about 25 to 30. Jerome Township, I called them, he says he's got about 50. Talked to him about what this company will do, and they both said, Homer said, I'll be looking at it, and Jerome Township says, we've looked at it, we just don't have it in the budget this year, but it will be coming up. And City of Midland said they've looked at it, it's more costly because it's charged per employee, but because we're a paid-on-call fire department, they're giving us a 10 employee to 1 ratio. So it comes out a lot less expensive. So the attorney that taught the class, set this aside for a second here so I don't lose all my papers. The attorney that taught the class would said I used to charge $50,000 to help a fire department run or to develop their policies and procedures. He says, and I won't do that anymore because I'm going broke for all the time that he has put into it. And he's a reputable fire service attorney. He knows the fire service. A company called Lexipol is the only company that I've been able to find that will actually work with me to develop the policies and procedures, customize them to our fire department. Give us a ability to do daily training bulletins, which will give us an opportunity to, each firefighter can pick up their phone at their leisure, work 2 to 3 minutes a day, read a little scenario that's fire-based, and give a question, what should the firefighter do? What should you do? List out the policy, it's right there, so it's right there with it. So which way should you do? Yes or no? So it's laid out there, that's available, and that helps our ISO for training and showing documentations that we don't just have policies and procedures, but we're actually training on, which is a vital part of this. Plus they last year looked at 14,000 pieces of legislation alone. If you divide that by 50, for 50 states, that would average out over 280 pieces of legislation for each state. That's basically more than one every business day. I don't have the ability to keep up with that. Plus, I know there's some talk about rules, regulations versus law, but when it comes to the fire service, if you're not following the rules and regulations from the state agencies, we can get fined, and you can argue about it, but Mike, wasn't weren't you supervisor when OSHA came in?
I was a first-year trustee.
First-year trustee, okay. So, we've already gone down that road.
It's not possible.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you don't know what you don't know, but ignorance of law is no excuse. There's no way I can work full-time to develop policies and procedures, and then I still can't keep up with them. Because not only do I have the state laws, I also have OSHA, NFPA, Michigan Department of Public Health and Human Services, which regulates the EMS division, which is what we do with first responders. All those things, they keep putting out new ideas, new rules, new regulations. I asked him specifically about the coronavirus, and he gave me some information on his website that is just really super detailed, but I don't know how many pushes they have, but they will push out at least once a month changes so that I can look at the policies, procedures, update them, and do whatever. So those things are all there. And if I do it myself, I still have to send it into the attorney and get it looked at. So,
I have a question. Did you get a quote from Lexipol?
yes.
Excellent. What is it?
So, Lexipol quote, because the township pays for my membership in the Michigan Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs, we get a discount of $160.50, which brings a annual subscription to $3,049.50. That's the annual subscription. Now, there are some one-time costs to get those policies and procedures in place. The standard fire policy cross-reference starts at $1,630. That's where I'd like the board to consider as a starting point, depending on how this goes between them and me, depends on how much more, you know, I've never worked with that company in this manner before. So I don't know how detailed and how much time we have going back and forth. But they have 5 additional fire tier implementations that are average right around $2,400 each. So at worst, if I need them to do everything, we'd be looking at $13,551 for a one-time cost. My request to the board would be to just start at the $1,600 and let's see where we're at and at least get this thing started so that I can have the policies and procedures we need. And I see another hand back there. Sorry, I didn't want to.
No, here, I'm curious, with the fact that you were talking about all of the costs associated with the creating of the policies, and the fact that we interact with Greendale and whomever, sorry, I don't know, can't we get like a group discount between like 2 or 3 townships?
We're actually doing pretty good with the discounts that we're getting here for the number of people and stuff. It is based off of our personnel. So basically, if we got a bigger group, we'd have bigger personnel numbers, so the cost would go up. Sorry, but yeah, you know, not necessarily. And, you know, that's why, like City of Midland, we're getting a 10-to-1 employee ratio. The City of Midland, for their fire department, they need, you know, a 1-to-1 employee ratio. So theirs is significantly more to do that and to keep it up to date. And the keeping it up to date is just as important. It's even more important because if I do all the work and I put them in and they're out of date, you know, 2 weeks later, they're just as out of date as they are today. So
Daryl, if I can interject something.
Certainly.
Dan, we do recoup some of it because we have the contract with Greendale. The price of their, what do I want to say, that they pay, their quarterly payment, the contract, all of that, the expenses are taken into consideration. So Robin has a formula that she follows, and at the end of the year, before their contract is up, I give her all of the expenses. She does her, you know, so the secretary at the fire department. So that's how that's how she comes up with what their annual payment to Lee Township is. So a portion of that would be covered by them.
So Daryl, what are you asking for again, and what does it cover?
Okay.
Initially, the 16.
To start with, approving an annual fire policy manual and training, daily training bulletins with a supplemental publication for the fire service with the fire operations procedures for 12 months at $3,049.50 this year. I can't speak to how much it will be.
I don't remember when it was, you had your annual dues anyways. I don't know if that's been paid or not.
Yeah, they're giving us the discount. Okay. So that's the discounted price. And then to do the fire standard policy cross-reference at $1,630, which is, to me, I can't believe they're doing it that inexpensively. There is a letter from Lexipol itself that I sent to y'all saying that they're the only ones that's doing this. There are some software companies out there that are happy to take your policies and number them and make them all look pretty and stuff. That's not what they do. They're actually looking at the policies and looking at and keeping up to date with all the standards changes. NFPA stuff changes pretty much all the time. And yes, there are certain things that we'll never meet from NFPA, but we need to be aware of them and put it in writing as to why it is we're not going to meet them. That way we're covered. Either, we're not going to have 5 paid personnel on a fire engine. It's an NFPA standard. First of all, we don't have paid firefighters at the station. I don't have an engine that seats 5 people. And we're just not going to, we can't do that. Most cities don't even put 5, don't comply with that NFPA standard. Most of them are running 4, and some are only running 3.
And you have scoured the internet and scoured your resources to see if there's anybody else that's comparable to this?
Absolutely not anybody that I can find, and certainly nobody that's reputable. This comes from, Jake Cole at Jerome Township's already looked at them. He also couldn't find anybody else. City of Midland, they couldn't find anybody else. One of the big dangers is, Phoenix Fire Department. It's a great fire department. Okay? Phoenix, Arizona. Great, wonderful fire department. Very progressive fire leaders. They've been at the cutting edge for a long time. But if I just take their policies and procedures and I take them, there are things in there that pertain to Arizona law that doesn't pertain to Michigan law. And I'm at an end that, it sounded good, but it doesn't mesh with the Michigan law. And Lexipol knows the Michigan laws, and they're able to keep up to that.
So the total for both, if I did my math correctly and wrote down numbers correctly, is $4,679.50.
I'll trust you on that. Well, no, it's not per year. That would be for the first year.
For the first year.
Thereafter would be the 3,050 approximate, 3,049.50, but that could go up next year. I don't have any control over their.
So for the first year, for both, it would be $4,679.50.
On a quick ad, that's what I get to.
And that's for the cross-referencing and then the annual 12 month with the
Right.
training.
With the training bulletins and all of that, to where we can actually get this codified, put in, and gives me something to work off of, to where we got it. And some of those policies that the township may be trying to develop, I'm sure there are, the bullying, harassment, those types of policies, we'll have those, and certainly can, share the knowledge source with the, I think this lady over here had her hand up longer.
Yeah, couple of questions. So is the city of Midland using the same company or has used them?
They looked at them, but it's very expensive for them, and they have paid full-time firefighters that can do that.
Right.
I'm not a paid full-time firefighter.
Into leveraging their documentation policies, they are from Michigan, they're local, they're using the same laws, so that.
But they're not, and I've got to try to figure out how to keep up to date on that. I don't know that they look every day at NFPA standards, or at the state of Michigan, or at the law.
Certainly, city of Midland is a much larger place, with a much larger fire department than would be.
Yes, and when I talked to the assistant chief, unfortunately, I couldn't get Chris today when I was talking with him. I talked to the assistant chief, and he's like, I said policies and procedures, he's like, ugh. So they know they're at the same issue. How do you keep up with it? This is not an easy, there is no, you would think, I mean, it would make sense to me that the state of Michigan would be able to put out information to us when they change things, but they don't. And we're stuck without it.
I worked in safety and loss prevention at Dow Corning with Mike Snyder
Yeah.
for 15 years, and that's all I did was write SOPs and documents for the fire department. Inside Dow Corning.
Yeah.
And I know it's a major effort. No.
I told you, if I belonged, that I would be, for 75 policies, I'd be writing for probably well over a year, full time.
Yeah.
Just as a supportive documentation on this, I infection control nurse, and so being up to date on doing all the policies and procedures, basically if it helps the board at all on this decision, as single-handedly, Daryl here will be pretty much, and then backed by the board, responsible for every single person who is following that policy and procedure, and if you don't have it. If you don't have the resources to comb through every single policy and procedure that you need to make and create the fire station that you need to save, if you have one person that's gone, you would have wished you paid that $4,000. Because if you have one volunteer who didn't have the education, a lawyer will rip you apart and say, what was your education status that you did? What was your recommendation? How did you document with this person knew how to use this particular new device that you have? If you have one person that arrived at an EMS scene and you had a new sense of equipment and you had nothing out there to distribute that as soon as it came out and documented that they had it, you are automatically at fault. There is no way that you can even dispute it if that person died or became of injury. So in the health profession and the medical profession, especially first responders and the fire department, that area is very vast, every single little area needs to be very finely defined when it comes to personal health and emergency health and response time, and you have to have a policy and procedure. You gotta make sure that you don't. Some people are writing them themselves. You get them, you have to really make sure that somebody's not being overly specific. Because when you start getting from Peter, from Paul, and you're trying to get it down to yours, sometimes you have a problem becoming overly specific, and then one little thing gets missed. And as far as the court of law is concerned, if that one little piece that was written down on a piece of paper because somebody was too specific, then you are also legally responsible. So I would have to say this course of action, with having a little bit of people that you have working with you on this community, that it would be well-paid money on that to make sure that we had everything we need. That does the whole infection department, for Great Lakes Bay Surgery and Endoscopy Center, and it was an unbelievably huge undertaking. And then, like I said, you get these little reports on email here, email there. Oh, by the way, we changed section 18-115.31-2, and you're like, what the hell is that? Pulling in the handbook, and you're like, and they phrased it, just 2 phrases, and you had to rewrite the whole entire policy. So, anyways, that's just helpful supportive documentation for everybody and why this is so important for Daryl. That would be all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Earl, how often do you or whoever call out the volunteers that aren't active, like every 6 months or a year? How does
we have certain policies, a certain policy in place. I don't get a chance to look at it every month to do that. Rather than having a report, I look at them periodically. There's a difference between paid on, our volunteers, you know, we're paid on call technically, but we're basically volunteers. The difference between volunteers that don't show up for anything and volunteers that may get their training because they're on 2 departments and they're active in the other department, we don't necessarily see them. There's some differences there. And so, one of the things is getting an industry standard, a policy, making sure that it's up to date, and then I got something better to go on than it feels good. It feels right, you know. And I can document that they're actually being trained to the policies. And
Well, I guess what I mean is, I know 2 individuals that were on, they were accepted as volunteers in the past, but I know they are active. So are they, like, after a period of 1 year, you don't see them, they're not active, are they still on that volunteer list, or do they just drop off?
some resign, some we've had to, you know, call and say, do you want to go inactive?
Yeah, okay.
You know, do you want to, you know, there are also, for those who apply, like Tim here is applied, he doesn't have his firefighter training. In 2 years, he has to have his firefighter, 1 per the state, and 1 and 2 per our policies, in order to stay active as a firefighter. He can't do much on a scene until he's got that firefighter 1 and 2. There are things he can do. He can help pull equipment and tote it and stuff. He just can't take a fire hose, put on an SCBA, and go in and attack a fire. Anything that's considered a hot zone, anything that hot zone, Tim's not doing until he gets his firefighter 1 and 2. Okay? And that way, you know, that's not negotiable. That doesn't, you know. But can I give him some instruction and have him help direct traffic at a scene? Yeah, absolutely. You know, stop the traffic. There's the stop sign, you know.
All right. So the articles of incorporation as well.
Articles of organization.
Organization, sorry.
That would be a second part. But
And
it's
so
necessary.
you're asking for permission to have them
Review,
review
have that,
with the lawyer?
go to talk with an attorney to make sure that our articles of organization that we need to have in place, that basically says that, yes, I have the authority to make policies and procedures. You have the authority to approve them, and that I have the authority to hire and fire. I'm basically the manager. When it comes to disciplinary actions, which is another class, we don't work for Coca-Cola. We work for a local government, and therefore we as employees of the local government are entitled to due process. So if somebody has a discipline is in violation of our policies and procedures, I can't be the one person that investigates it and then doles out the punishment.
Right.
So, having that put in the articles of organization, you retain to be the judge and jury. I will be the investigator. Okay. So that way we have it put out there properly so that we're protected against any defensible. But we need that those articles of organization, and I want to talk to the attorney to make sure, our attorney to make sure they're drafted properly, that they're not overly specific, because whatever that says is what we need to do.
Okay.
And the original articles of organization that I saw several years ago said that we needed to know how to use the resuscitator. I don't believe we've ever owned a resuscitator. We've owned oxygen bottles, but it's not a resuscitator. That's a specific piece of medical equipment.
Okay.
I never been trained on one.
So the name of the company
is
for the
Lexipol.
Lexipol?
Lexipol.
All right. Any other questions for Dale from the board on the Lexipol or the request to send the letters, articles of organization to the lawyer for review?
We can motion it all at one time.
I was gonna motion it all at one time, or do you want me to do it separate? I'll do them separate. Any questions on them? All right, I'll make a motion to approve Daryl to work with Lexipol for the, what was the big first one, the annual?
The annual subscription
and then the cross-referencing. For a total of $4,679.50.
I'll second that.
Alright, so I made a motion to approve Daryl's work with Lexapro for the annual 12-month subscription and the cross-referencing for a total of $4,679.50, seconded by Bill. Any discussion from the board? Go ahead and take roll, Laura.
All right, I will say yes. Lawrence,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Darla.
Yes.
Alright, motion carried. I'll go ahead and make a motion for Daryl to speak with the attorney for the articles of organization.
I'll second that motion.
Alright, so I made a motion for Daryl to speak with the attorney for articles of organization, seconded by Bill. Any discussion? Laura, go ahead and take roll.
All right, Lawrence,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Darla.
Yes.
I will say yes.
Alright, motion carried. Anything else you got there,
Yes.
Daryl?
Is Lexipol the same as the company as the one that was gonna do the grant writing?
Lexipol is the parent company of the fire grants help.
The one that we
The
get.
one that we're
So I don't-
contracted with, so,
I
yes.
don't need new information on them, I don't think if I do have them give it to me.
Yeah, whatever you need, if you, I'll
That's
get
why I
that.
was thinking it sounded really.
Yeah, and Lexipol is the parent company of that. They have different organizations. They have a service available for local government. If y'all are interested in having them develop your policies and procedures, they would need to know how many volunteers and stuff that you have to consider how many of the employees are. I don't know how they do election workers since they're, one day every 2 years
Yeah.
approximately. I have no idea how to do that, but if you want to, I'll give you the contact information if you're interested in doing that. One thing that he also mentioned is, that we should look at is the American Relief Plan. Part of the coronavirus money that they're giving out, part of that's available to us for infrastructure.
Correct, I emailed Laura, the entire board,
Yeah.
and asking Laura to print out the reports that they request from BSNA, as well as some of the other numbers, so.
Okay, so, I don't know what they can consider infrastructure. I think a fire station's infrastructure, but that's just me.
Water.
Water, that could be too, yeah, there's a lot of things, so, absolutely. So I just wanted to make sure that somebody was looking into that. Couple of things that Ken mentioned, I wanna make sure that people know, we do have a commercial washer that is designed specifically to do the fire gear, that meets the requirements of the manufacturers of the fire gear. Can't just go down and get a speed clean, it spins too fast, believe it or not, and it will wreck the fire gear. We do keep track of and replace gear as necessary. New rigs, we're gonna have to have some way of, not having the fire gear inside the rig when we come back, so it's gonna have to have some place to put fire gear. I mean, this is all, space is valuable, but we're gonna have to separate it, so we get rid of the carcinogens in the system. We have a vent system that's present, obviously the new station, when we get one, we'll have a better system. We'll make sure that we stay as protective of our people as possible. And just so you're aware that if a firefighter does die in the line of duty, there is public safety officer benefits, line of duty death. It's over $300,000. I hope to never, ever have anyone need that. But that is through the federal government, and that's line of duty death. So, and they consider things like heart attacks within 24 hours of response, line of duty death. The coronavirus, people that work in the fire service, that have died, they've been considered line of duty deaths. So, I just trust we never do have one. But, and certainly not from any tragedy. But, I'm over 60. I spent 37 years full-time EMS. I transported people who are 18 years old who's had a heart attack, so, it can happen to anybody, so. So I think that's the big things there, and,
I would like to give this to you in correspondence.
thanks.
All right, thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
Planning Commission report.
Thank you for, approving those, 3 or 4, ordinance amendments. Just to go over what we have coming up, rezoning for Dollar General. The old Club 20 needs one more drawing. I have that at the planner. There's gonna be a garden supply store at the old Mullins restaurant. And I haven't heard anything more about the Foundry, entertainment business, project that I don't even know what to call it.
I don't know either, it was just like a wedding venue.
Yeah, and supposedly the owner is waiting for the, medical marijuana, that's what he wants to sell it to, so. And then the ordinance books, because we have all the ordinance amendments, we're gonna have to go through all the books. I mean, there's, not all the books, I'm sorry, the zoning ordinances, all the ordinances, there's chapters that have been edited and with all the ordinances, so it'll take a time. We're gonna focus on that first, because we need to get that in order, so.
Would they be rebounded or just?
I don't know, I don't like the binder that we use, I like
the, this.
Yeah, I do too.
Board, yeah, it's easier to.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
and
all.
you had, the applications approvals?
Oh, I sent the applications in, yes, for
Yep.
approval. What I didn't send in is the one for the medical marijuana. I think maybe Laura.
We have that, it's in the packet, but before we switch to that, Darla took the zoning book from the cabinet. Before you and Darla leave, can you get her one from the room so that I don't lose?
Oh,
the
yeah, I can do
office
that,
one?
sure. Yeah, just get with me after the meet. I can get one too.
All right, so did everybody look at the applications for the rezoning approval, the permit, special use permit approval, wireless communication facilities, and the application for site plan review? Any comments on them, concerns, questions?
There's 3 of them.
4.
We did all those last month.
We
No,
didn't
we
do
need
the
to officially
application.
do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
the application.
The applications,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm thinking.
Because the planning did it, but you guys need to approve the applications.
So you wanna approve it as one motion and list them, or how do you
I
wanna
think it's okay to approve it as one motion. Was there any discussion on them?
do it? Looks good.
So if those are approved tonight, they need to go on the website as soon
Well-
as possible.
Mary, did you create these?
Actually Rodney did, yeah.
Okay, do you have editing ability on them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we approve them, I can't say we are going to. 'cause
Yeah, no, I
in the
understand.
future. Will you give non-draft copies with dates on them, that approval dates?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then as far as the applications, I know that they're not, ordinances and whatnot, but do they need numbers?
No.
No.
Okay, so you'll put them on the web if and when they're approved, and you get them from Mary after she's edited.
Approved one, which should, if it's
Usually overnight
approved today, would
something.
have today's date on it.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the application for site plan review, wireless communication facilities, special use permit, and rezoning approval.
I'll second the motion.
All right, so I made a motion to approve the application for the site plan review, wireless communication facilities, special use permit, and for the rezoning approval, seconded by Bill. Any discussion on those from the board? Laura, when you're ready, go ahead and take roll.
Bill,
Yes.
Christie,
Yes.
Darla,
Yes.
I will say yes, Lawrence.
All right, motion carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The fee schedule adjustment approval. So, a question in regards to that, because I was thinking about it this morning in the shower. Is it?
I wasn't.
You weren't thinking about it? Is it adjusting it, does it clearly state on it? I will be honest. I
Oh,
don't
Rodney,
look at
when
it.
he made it up, yeah, I told him
But
that
we adjusted it, so,
you adjusted it for the old,
so it
per-
does say the 80 per diem per,
Yeah, that's how the $400 was derived, because it was $80 per member for one meeting.
okay.
We've gone down to $50,
Yeah.
and so we need to do $50 per meeting for 5 people, which would be
Okay.
$250.
Okay. So my thought was, do we really need to, well, yes, we do. I just answered it. Okay, so I will make a motion, and do you have that one in editable form?
I believe you do.
Oh, you mean my,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I can make all the changes, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you'll
oh, yeah.
do the same thing and date it, and then does that one need to go on the website as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you send all of those to Bill, if this next one is approved, then you can get them all on at the same time.
Yeah, that would be good.
Send it to me too, because I need to have a hard copy. of this.
Nice, $5. I paid for that Acrobat.
Alright, so I will make a motion to approve the fee schedule adjustment to reflect the $50 per diem per member, planning commission member.
Yeah, for special meetings.
Second that motion.
Alright, so I made a motion to approve the fee schedule adjustment to reflect the $50 per meeting per diem for the planning commission meetings. Seconded by Bill. Any discussion from the board? Laura, when you're ready, go ahead and take roll.
Christie,
Yes.
Darla,
Yes.
I will say yes, Lawrence,
Yes.
and Bill.
Yes.
Alright, motion carried.
Thank
Or,
you.
You're welcome. Code authority report.
Short, very short. We paid workman's comp for the year. We renewed the rental agreement for office space at the county building. we evaluated Amy